Hello, reception, and today we are going to learn about the story of Moses. Moses. Okay, Moses is a very famous man in the Jewish religion. Okay, so we're going to watch a quick video now that's going to tell us about the life of Moses. Okay, then we're going to talk about some of the main points in the video. So really, I need to see really good listening from you all. Okay, and then we're going to complete a craft to do with the very famous thing that Moses did. Okay, so let's start with our video.
Judaism is one of the oldest religions in the world. It began about 4,000 years ago in the Middle East. One of the most important people in Judaism is called Moses. He was a great leader who helped the Jewish people make their home in their promised land, a country that is now called Israel. The Jewish story of Moses. Many years ago, the Jewish people were living in Egypt. The Egyptians and their king, the Pharaoh, were very mean to the Jewish people because they were worried that they were going to take over their land. The Egyptians put all the Jewish people to work as slaves and decided that they would kill all the Jewish newborn baby boys. The Jewish people were very upset about this and prayed to God for a leader to help them. Moses was born. To make sure Moses wasn't killed by the Egyptians, Moses' mother put him in a basket and set him adrift on the river. There, the Pharaoh's daughter found him. He was rescued by a princess. Without realizing, the princess let Moses' real mum look after him, and Moses grew up as an Egyptian prince in the palace. When he was grown up, he was very angry that his people, the Jewish people, were still being treated so badly by the Egyptians. One day, he lost his temper and killed an Egyptian guard. The Pharaoh was furious about this, and Moses ran away to another land. Moses worked there as a shepherd for many years. One day, he saw a flaming bush in the desert. As he came close, he heard God's voice. "Go back to Egypt. Tell Pharaoh to let my people go." Moses traveled back to Egypt and demanded that the Pharaoh set his people free. The Pharaoh laughed and said, "No way." Because the Pharaoh said no, God sent 10 plagues to Egypt to teach Pharaoh a lesson. Each one was worse than the last. A plague of frogs, locusts, diseases for cattle. But Pharaoh would still not set the Jewish people free. Then God sent the 10th and final plague. God sent the angel of death to Egypt to kill all of the firstborn sons of families in Egypt. The Jewish people were told, "Paint your door with a lamb's blood. Then the angel of death will pass over your houses. Your children will be safe." The next morning, the Pharaoh finally agreed to Moses' demands. The slaves were set free. The Jewish festival of Passover is celebrated in the spring every year to remember this. The Pharaoh demanded that Moses lead his people away, never to return to Egypt. So Moses led his people away from Egypt, hoping to find their promised land, a place where the Jewish people could live in peace. But once Moses and the Jewish people had set off on their journey, the Pharaoh soon changed his mind and decided to go after them with 600 chariots. When Moses and his people reached the Red Sea, which wasn't actually red despite its name, they didn't know what to do. How can we get across? The Egyptians have nearly caught them. God told Moses to lift his shepherd's staff up to the heavens. By a miracle, the waters of the Red Sea parted, and Moses was able to lead his people through the middle of the water. They made it safely to the other side, before the sea came crashing down all over the Egyptians who were trying to catch them. 600 chariots were no use at the bottom of the sea. Moses had helped his people escape to freedom, and they continued their journey to their promised land, trusting in God.
Okay, I hope you like that story. What we're going to do now is we're going to go through parts of the story, and I'm going to ask you a few questions, okay? Okay, so in the beginning of the story, A very long time ago, Jewish people lived in a place called Egypt. The Egyptians were not very nice and put all the Jewish people to work as slaves. So we've got some pictures here of Jewish people working as slaves in Egypt, doing building for the Egyptians. So still in the beginning of the story, baby Moses was born. His mum had to let him go, otherwise he would have been killed by the Egyptians. So here's his mum. She's let him go onto the river Nile. Moses' mum sent him along the river, where he was picked up by the Pharaoh's daughter. Moses' mum worked for the Pharaoh's daughter, so she got to raise him in secret. So there's the Pharaoh's daughter who's found Moses along the river, and perhaps that is Moses' mum, pretending it's not her child. In the middle of the story, so we're on to the middle part now. So when he had grown up, Moses was angry with how the Jewish people were being treated. But what did he do? You can pause the video and tell your adult what Moses did. Okay, boys and girls, let's have a look. What did Moses do? He killed an Egyptian. He was so angry with how the Jewish people were being treated. He killed an Egyptian worker, and he had to run away. He had to flee out of Egypt. Sticking to the middle of the story, for many years, Moses lived as a shepherd in hiding. One day, he saw a burning bush and heard a message from God. But boys and girls, tell me, what did God tell Moses to do? Okay, you should have had a quick chat about that. What did God tell Moses to do? Let's have a look. He told Moses to return to Egypt. There's an Egyptian pyramid there, and Moses has come back to Egypt. He told him to come back and set his people free. So once Moses returned to Egypt, he asked the Pharaoh to set the Jewish people free. He said no. So God sent 10 plagues to Egypt. Let's talk about those plagues now. Okay, so behind me, I have drawn the 10 plagues. The first plague here was blood. It was a blood plague. So the first plague was God turned the River Nile, the water in the River Nile, into blood. Okay, so that's all the water in Egypt turned into blood. It would be horrible, wouldn't it? But the Pharaoh still said no, he would not let the Jewish people go. So after that, God sent a plague of frogs to cover the land of Egypt. Okay, so then the frogs would eat all the crops and they would cause a lot of nuisance in the fields. Okay, but the Pharaoh still said no, even though there's lots of frogs everywhere. Number 3, God sent gnats down. Gnats are tiny little flies, and they surrounded all the people, and they surrounded all the animals, and they were really annoying for everyone. But still, the Pharaoh did not let the Jewish people free. So after that, God sent flies. God sent lots of flies, and they got into the houses and onto the land of Egypt. At this point, the Pharaoh promised to let the Jewish people go, but he changed his mind. After that, God decided all the livestock, all the sheep, all the cows, all the pigs would have to die. Okay, so that means the people of Egypt would have no food. Okay, but the Pharaoh still decided not to let the Jewish people go. On we go on to the next plague, boils. So boils are like sore, very very sore bits on your hand. If you've ever had a blister on the back of your heel, it's a bit like a boil, but a boil is even more sore. So God ordered festering boils to appear on people all over their bodies, be very uncomfortable for them. Guess what? The Pharaoh still said he wouldn't let the Jewish people go. So God sent hailstones down, really, really big hailstones down, crashing into Egypt. But the Pharaoh still wouldn't let the Jewish people go. After that, God sent locusts. Now, locusts are quite big insects, and he sent them to the fields of Egypt to eat away any remaining crops. I mean, you already had the frogs eating lots of crops. The flies probably ate lots of crops. There's no livestock left, no sheep and cows. But the last remaining crops, God sent locusts down to Egypt, and there must have been no food left at this point. But the Pharaoh still said no. After that, God decided to have darkness descend on Egypt. So he had clouds go over Egypt, and it was all dark. It was constantly dark. The Pharaoh promises to send the Jewish people back, but again, he changed his mind. Lastly, the final plague, God decides that the firstborn sons in Egypt would have to die. So any son, any boy that was born would have to die. And at this point, the Pharaoh decides that the Jewish people can go. Okay, so let's go back onto here. So the Jewish people were set free. However, the Pharaoh changed his mind again and sent the army after them. What amazing thing did Moses do to save his people? I'd like you to pause your video and talk to your adult about what Moses does to save his people. Okay, boys and girls, you should have spoken about that. Let's see what he does. He lifts his shepherd's staff and he parts the Red Sea, which was a big sea, a big ocean near where they are, and the water goes to the right and it goes to the left, and a path forms for the Jewish people to walk along. And when the Egyptians get there, the water goes back to where it was, and it crashes into them, and the Jewish people are free. Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to show you what we're going to do as an activity now. I'm just plugging in my visualizer. Fantastic. Looking good there. Right, the first thing we're going to do is make a little Moses. So here's my Moses. Now, Moses is quite old, so I've got he's got a long beard, a long white beard, and he's got white hair, and he's got a little face there. I decided he have a red robe, and he will have his shepherd's staff. Okay, and he's got a belt as well. So that's my Moses, and I just used a toilet roll. I cut a little bit of the toilet roll out, painted it, and stuck some bits on. Okay, so that's the first thing you can do. And the other thing you're going to do is you're going to make the Red Sea. So on here I have got a piece of paper and I have folded it. I'm just going to turn the light off, it's a bit bright in here. That's better. And I have folded it into 3. Okay, folded into 3. Then I have coloured this bit blue and these bits blue. So the outside is blue and the bit on the far right and the far left are blue. Then the middle is a browny yellow because that's the path. So what we can do is we can reenact Moses parting the Red Sea. So Moses can walk up to the Red Sea. He lifts his staff in the air and the sea parts and he can walk down it. Okay, there you go. So I'll just show you how you can do this. How you can make the paper. So if you have a plain sheet of white paper like this, you're going to take both sides and bring them into the middle. So they are touching. Okay, and then use these outside bits. You can paint or colour blue. This bit on the far left, paint blue. This bit on the far right, paint blue. And the middle can be yellow and brown. Okay, and you can recreate your very own Moses scene. Okay, boys and girls, I hope that sounds fun to you. Here's mine. Maybe I can show you like this. Okay. There we go. So there's the Red Sea. Here's Moses, and then he parts the Red Sea and walks down it with his people. Okay, I hope you enjoy that task. Can't wait to see what it looks like on Seesaw. Have a lovely rest of the day. Thank you very much and good luck. Bye.